Well, we're back, and I appreciate you being here, man. And before I get into this story, remember, this is a 40-year-old story, okay? 40 years ago. That's quite a while. So I'm not endorsing drugs or alcohol, anything like that. As a matter of fact, this is just a story, and if it was up to me, nobody would get addicted or try drugs or alcohol or illicit substances that make you, well, become addicted and have problems in your life. These are stories that are containing some of those elements, so learn from them. Don't be a fool. Here's the deal. We're going back in time to February 16th, 1983, to Dubuque, Iowa, to the Five Flags Center. Yep, it was an amazing concert for a venue of this size. This place was like a high school gymnasium. It was really tiny. I'm sure some of you in the comments will say you were there too, and let me know your experience. Well, the concert was Kiss with the Plasmatics, featuring Wendy O. Williams, of course. Oh my God, when we heard the Plasmatics were opening for Kiss on the Creatures of the Night tour, we freaked because we were all, big Kiss fans as from kids, the Kiss Army. But Plasmatics were the bomb. Anyway, we couldn't wait because, we were just huge fans. Well, what happened was we drove down to Iowa, maybe an hour and a half from Peoria, Illinois, to Dubuque. We indulged in some hallucinogenics. Yes, we did. Some Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. A lot of it, like 8 hits apiece, which was our norm. I know that's crazy. I'm telling you the truth. 8 blotters apiece. And anyway, we're at the show. My friend Kevin, he was wearing a gas mask, a literal gas mask, and some kind of homemade Sex Pistols shirt that he had on with safety pins. It was really dirty, and he had this big gas mask on, and we're all tripping, like 4 of us. And the next thing you know, we're in this little high school gymnasium, the Five Flag Center, right? And the lights go down, and all of a sudden you hear keyboards, and there's smoke, and we're like, man, the Plasmatics are coming on, no way. And so the next thing you know, here comes Wendy O. Williams with Wes Beech. The rest of the crew, they all come onto the stage. We are completely flipping out at this point. And I think it was Chris Romanelli on bass. And they broke into Master Plan. I made a couple notes. I do believe that when they opened up the show, the Plasmatics actually started with Mistress of Taboo. Then they went into Sex Junkie, then Put Your Love in Me, and into A Pig is a Pig. So while this was happening, I was looking around, and when you're on those kind of stimulants and chemicals, you have a sensory overload where your perceptions are completely multiplied. So everything you hear and see and whatever is extreme. And I was picking up this intense vibe because everyone was like tripping on Wendy L. Williams. Because here's this badass female on stage, barely wearing any clothing. She's got duct tape over her nipples, so she's not quite naked, but she's not wearing much. She's more masculine than probably anyone else on the stage. And her vocals, oh my freaking Lord, man. Her vocals were killer. So we're tripping. The sound is amazing. There's Wendy and company. And all of a sudden I noticed during Sex Junkie that the whole vibe of the entire place was completely sexual. I had experienced a lot of stuff in my time. And I've seen bands and performers that were, could be sexual at times, but not like this. Wendy was never a sex object, you have to understand. It was a vibe of pure sexual energy, but not sexism energy. And tripping, I was really going, wow, like I had goosebumps. And it felt like the entire crowd was all turned on and everyone was completely in this vibe of like massive stimulation, like on the edge of orgasm without touching each other at all. Crazy vibes. And all of a sudden, when that song ended, that whole vibe just ended, and I noticed. I'm like, wow! We went from this whole weird lighting, blue and red lights, to keyboards and smoke and the sexual vibe to just 1, 2, 3, 4. And it was just crazy, uppity energy. And next thing you know, they're rolling out a big, huge pentagram. It must have been 20 foot tall. And Wendy's rolling this thing out, or somebody was. And then here comes Wendy O. Williams, and she stands in front of this with her arms up, and it was just a very powerful statement. They later brought out a television set on a table that they sat right in the middle of the stage, right? Tuned into a basketball game. And then they turned all the lights off. They left the stage. And after about 2 or 3 minutes, people are like, what in the holy hell? Why are we watching a sporting event? And everyone's getting angry. And that was the intent, to show the asinine reality of like sports and like television and how it dominates our world. So they let it dominate our world for a while on that stage. And we were like, get rid of it. Next thing you know, here comes Wendy. She's carrying a sledgehammer above her head, walking around showing people this thing's a real sledgehammer, hitting stuff with it. And she demolished that television set. And while she was smashing it, the band's just ripping into like solos and going completely insane on stage. And we were like, yeah. And it was so amazing, man. It was so great. One of the best rock and roll shows of my life. And when she was done, she'd pick up pieces of this TV set, hold it over her head, and then throw it out in the audience, right? And she kept doing this to all the guts of the TV, the shell of the TV. And then she gets to the part where there's the tube, because the old TV sets, they had these tubes and those things got hot. And since it was a real working TV and it had been plugged in, it was smoking hot still. Guess what? She throws that thing in the audience and it hits my buddy with the gas mask on, hits him right on his arm, and he gets like second and third degree burns immediately. And what's bizarre is, I don't know, during the show or right afterwards, somebody from the Plasmatics headquarters came out from backstage and said, look, give us your name and info. We'll get a hold of you. We'll take care of that, your injury. You know what my friend said? He goes, no way, man. And consider he was tripping balls too. He's like, no way, man. I came here to get hardcore and I got hardcore. And they're just like, okay, so fine, sign this release saying we're good then. And he did. He's like, yeah, fine. Hey, you guys don't owe me anything. I came here for this. It was incredible, man. The Plasmatics on stage were just one of a kind. It was just amazing. The whole band was just completely awesome. And I just remember Wendy O. Williams being one of the best front people and best vocalists ever. They left the stage. And, before they left the stage, they, again, dimmed all the lights. And it's like, here we go again. What's going on? They kept creating weird vibes for us. A big white light projected across the back of the stage, the entire back of the building. And it said, stop Gestapo tactics. And when you're tripping, you're like, wow, it's profound. And so they were doing all the smashing of symbolism of these cultural things, symbols like television, Western things that people worship, like sporting events. And it was a message, underlying message. When Kiss hits the stage, we were all pretty much deflated. We were like, whew, wow, what's Kiss going to do to top this? And I got to say, they didn't top it. Plasmatics ruled the show. But it wasn't a competition. Gene Simmons and company purposely booked Wendy and company because they were fans. And Gene, of course, went on to produce Wendy's solo records and play on them, as did most of the members of Kiss, by the way, even uncredited. But what happened was Kiss comes out, and it's the second tour with Eric Carr, of course, who's not, it's not Peter Criss anymore. It's Eric Carr, stellar drummer. I heard he was a great guy. The band sounded great. They did not have all the huge pyrotechnics that they do normally. There wasn't the flying across the stage. There was blood spitting. There was fire breathing. There was a few rockets going off. It was real dismal, kind of, compared to what Kiss used to be. This was them coming back from totally screwing up their career with, not really screwing it up, but going in the direction of disco and pop. And they were coming back out of that, and they even said, this is us, our 10th anniversary tour, Creatures of the Night. This is us coming back. In other words, the heavy Kiss. And it was, man, it was heavy. And that's a great album, Creatures of the Night, one of the best. Another thing, Vinnie Vincent, that was his very first tour with Kiss, and we were tripping, literally. And we were watching Vinnie, and that cat was so bizarre. Because even in the press releases at the time, Kiss was saying about their new guitar player, this guy is even weirder than we are. That's how much they never liked him. They still don't. But it was bizarre watching him because he was like by himself kind of on the stage. He was good. He was very, very flamboyant. I liked Vinnie Vincent. He was a good guitar player. But we definitely missed Ace, for sure. He didn't take the place of Ace, but he did a good fill-in job. And plus, it was neat to be able to say I saw that tour. I have a couple slight notes, guys. Let me make sure I'm not forgetting anything. I know this is a little bit unprofessional, but what the hell? I want to make sure I got everything for you. For the encore, Kiss came out and played Rock and Roll All Night and I Love It Loud. And they did 15 songs total on that set. And I gotta say, that was one of the best rock concerts of my life. And not because of the substances, but because of the music. Plasmatics rule. Long live Wendy O. Williams. Please subscribe to my channel, share, like, and comment if you would. I appreciate it, and I'll have another story in about 2 days. Cheers. Rock and roll, man.